Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, and welcome to a part 2 of what if naofumi had the boosted gear. The video, when I checked it just a few seconds ago, it had 12 views, 3 likes, and someone asked if it should be a dragon instead of Philo. I'm gonna add the dragon, but it's gonna be after the second wave, where he fights that one chick, I forgot her name. Glass. After he fights Glass, he'll head back to the slave trader to ask for gear, as well as buying another egg. So, let's get back up. Let's start up. Where we left off last is where naofumi was fighting or naofumi was going to have a race against the spear hero. Which, instead of naofumi rejecting it at first, we're going to go off the manga here for a second, where if you haven't read the manga, the conversation kind of goes like this. The shield hero, or the spear hero, walks up to naofumi and tells him why he has this bird instead of a dragon, and just keeps saying that the dragons are better than the birds. Where Philo would kick Motoyasu in the nuts, sending him flying, landing in a building, actually, not a stack of hay. And naofumi would start laughing as Reptalia would turn around and asking Master naofumi if he's gonna punish Philo for doing that, as he would burst out laughing. And naofumi would say, fine, I accept your challenge. Let's do this, Philo. As Reptalia would say, you're just a big child, and you actually wanted her to do that, didn't you? Naofumi would say, pretty much just say, yeah. You have to admit, though, he is kind of the reason why we're doing this stuff. She would sigh and say yes, as they would get ready for the race. And the race goes just as canon, but this time, Drake, during the race, would tell naofumi to give the boosted gear a boost of 5, and then say transfer when putting the gauntlet hand on Philo. naofumi would say, alright, let's try this out, Drake. Drake would say, alright, partner. Boost. 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 As he would put his hand on Philo's back, and they would say, transfer. The power of a ×5 boost would go to Philo, giving her more speed, agility, and everything else. So as soon as he would say start, Philo would dash off, and she's already way ahead. She's already about a quarter of the way through a lap. And the soldiers would notice this, as they would make 3 holes simultaneously next to each other, making a giant pit. As Philo would think she couldn't make it, as when she jumps, she lands clearly over it, and just makes the turn, finishing a lap, as Motoyasu was about 3/4 of the way through already. This would go on until the soldiers have had enough, and they would make a half-mile wide hole, as Drake would say, partner, do another 5 times boost, and give it to the little, Philolial, as they call it. Now for me doing so, giving it to her, giving her a 10 times boost now, as she would jump over the entire pit. Well, almost. She makes it about halfway, as she jumps again, making it out, and continues running. She crosses the finish line, and everything else in canon goes the same, as the boost effect wears off, and then the Philo would grow to her big bird state. Mine would run over saying that he cheated, as all you hear is boost. Boost. And they know what it means, so they flee. They get on their rides and they flee. As naofumi would get rid of the charge and would say, thanks, Drake. He would say, no problem, partner. And they would continue grinding levels and traveling around as one unexpected event happens. They would do the same virus, and they would do the same plant monster. It goes as canon. Naofumi doesn't use the boosted gear unless he really needs to, or he's experimenting with it. Which he finds out he can do a lot of stuff with the boosted gear. And during this time, he comes across the incident with the dragon on the mountain. And at this time, he already has the Stage 3 boosted Longitis gear. Drake saying that he's the fastest and possibly the strongest boosted gear wielder that we've ever had, even beating out one of the original old ones. Naofumi scoffing and saying, "Of course I am." Drake saying that this challenge up ahead is going to be our hardest. Even with this boosted gear, you may have trouble, partner. Naofumi asking what he means, as Drake wouldn't say a word, getting a little curious. As they would arrive at the village with everything around it dead, and everything infected with the curse, they would ask what's happening here, as the guy would run over and tell the doctor, as the doctor would come out, invite them in, and give them the whole explanation about the dead dragon on the mountain. Naofumi saying that, damn it, Ren, you know this isn't a video game. As they would say, fine, we'll do it for 50 silvers. Or they'll ask how much money they have. They say they have 50 silvers sent to the capital to get the medicine ready, and he'll say, fine, I'll take that as compensation, as he changes his shield to the Viper shield, and they say that he's the devil of the shield, or the nurse does, as Naofumi then says, well, I never asked to be it, so, as he would just walk out. On their trip there, Naofumi asked Drake why he didn't say anything earlier about the challenge. Drake doesn't say anything again, as he would just start whacking the gauntlet with the shield, trying to get Drake to speak, but Drake doesn't say anything. Once they get up to the top of the mountain, they get their pickaxe and their shovels, and Philo's eating the fruit and talking. And they would get up to the dragon, and the dragon would start reanimating from death. The whole fight goes in canon, the boosted gear not working for some reason. Maybe because there's a dragon? I'm not sure. Naofumi would try getting it to boost, but it wouldn't work. As during this time, the incident where Philo jumps at it and gets swallowed up by the dragon would happen. Naofumi feeling this overwhelming rage, as it was stronger than before. Stronger than canon. 10 times stronger canon than in fact. As all you hear is, Limit Breaker, Scale Mail, as Naofumi's covered in a black and crimson, and a dark crimson red outline around him. As the shield has the Wrath shield on it, and the fire glowing around him. As he's in his head, the same incidents happen in his head, but this time after it, before snapping back into reality. Drake appears in front of him, saying, "This is your trial, partner. Your scale mail limit breaker has just been unlocked. It was hard to get here, but you're going to be training by fighting this dragon in your scale mail. You have 10 seconds to defeat it with the scale mail limit breaker and the boosted gear, as well as that wrath shield." Naofumi would say, "Alright, let's do this." As he would get out of his head, as he's still enraged, but he calms down by himself, not hurting Raftalia this time, so they don't need to go to the priest to buy the holy water. As all you hear is a countdown from 10 to 1, as the boost from the boosted gear would say boost over and over and over again, about 20 to 30 times. As Naofumi's just sitting there punching it and blocking its attacks from the dragon. As all you hear is explosion as a giant, well, about the ball, the dragon shot ball the size of a pool ball would appear right in front as Naofumi punches it, hitting the dragon's head, obliterating it as a giant beam of red lights up the sky, moving the clouds, forming a giant circle around it where the beam was going, barely missing where the moon would be in the night sky, as it just grazes it. As he would power down, going down into his regular shield, as Philo would open a hole in the side of the dragon, rolling out like in cannon, popping up, as Naofumi would ask if she was alright this whole time. Philo saying yes, and Naofumi this time would walk over and just knocking her on the side of the head, not hard, but more like a little, what you would do in anime, just like a little punishment type one, not like a hurt punch, but like a soft little punch on the top of the head, saying not to do that again. You almost scared us to death. Philo just laughing and saying, so you were worried about me, master? Naofumi saying no, and then just walks back over to Raftalia to see if she's okay. After they decide to clean it up, Philo gives Naofumi the dragon, or the dragon core, which I've learned the name of it, and it's the Dragon Emperor's core, which if you read the manga or watch the anime, the Vittoria says it when she gets the core from the giant T-Rex thing. So Philo gives Naofumi the Dragon's Emperor's core, and he puts it in the shield, leaving a little chunk left, just in case. And they thought that they should rest here for a little bit, and just start healing everyone, as they would say to, keep the money, we'll just heal you guys up, and, we'll get out of here, so you guys can use those funds to rebuild the village and get your farming back in order. As they would thank Naofumi, and he would just say, yeah, whatever. As they were walking around in the forest, they would come across the girl in blue hair, which I already know her name is Melty, but they don't know that yet. They would come across Melty as she was talking to the Philolials, as Philo would say, those birds look yummy. Raftalia and Naofumi look at her like she's crazy, because those are Philolials as well. And Melty would appear right in front of them, as the birds already disappeared. And she would ask if she's a Philolial, and the whole conversation goes as canon. But this time, instead of Naofumi and Raftalia walking away, they decide to lay down in the grass right at the edge of the forest, near the grassland area where Philo and Melty were. And they would just talk. And then Naofumi would close his eyes for a little bit, and would decide to talk to Drake for a few minutes, figuring out how he could train his body and train the boosted gear to make it so that he can unlock the scale mail armor at ease. And also asked him what this Juggernaut drive mode he mentioned earlier was, as Drake would give the whole explanation about it. Naofumi being a little curious how to perfect this Juggernaut drive and this scale mail armor. Drake telling him that he needs to speak to the other wielders of the boosted gear of Longitis and perfect their methods of training, which Naofumi says he'll do that on one of his longer trips. As Drake would say, okay then, partner. Now, go ahead and open up your eyes. It's about to be nighttime, and the little girl and the Filolial are heading back to you as we speak. Naofumi says, alright, as he opens his eyes and sits up and says, let's go back to the room we're staying in. We'll check our gear and we'll get ready to head out in the morning. Raftalia says, alright, and they head back to the room. As Raftalia falls asleep on the bed, Philo comes in and says the same thing that she does, frees out the girls from another land, that she got lost from her escorts and that she needs to ride back to the capital. And she would ask him if she can go with him. Naofumi hesitantly saying yes. And they sleep in the same bed together as Naofumi stays up working on some jewelry to better enhance Philo's and Raftalia's stats, because they're getting close. What he doesn't know is that he wants to boost their stuff just in case that there isn't max limit, when they're about nearly 20 levels away from the max limit. Or no, they're about 5 levels away. And they're at level 35. God, I didn't think this would be, like, going this fast. But I'm also doing the manga as well. Well, if you want me to. Do you guys just want me to do the anime? Or include manga parts as well? Because I'm already caught up on the English dub version of the manga. So this is up to you. So, yeah. They decide to take the girl with her, and they didn't get her name, but once they get to the capital, they drop her off as they go their separate ways, bringing the cart over to the blacksmith, as they ask him to repair his armor, and he gives them the dragon core, and asks if he can do anything with it, and the blacksmith says, sure, you got it, shield kid. As they do that, Naofumi walks around in his normal day wear, as they go to the hourglass to get some more information on it. As they say, as the screen pulls up, showing the help screen, as it says the level up system, or I forgot what it was called. The rank up, I believe it is. And it would display all the information. So he gets information about the star on their levels earlier. Oh, sorry, it was class up. Class up. So, he would get information about the class up earlier, as during that time, the soldier does find them and decides to start chasing them. The interaction between Motoyasu goes as canon. But this time, the boosted gear says boost quietly 3 times, as Naofumi punches the spear hero in the gut, sending him flying into a wall. And Naofumi just starts walking towards Philo and Raftalia to head back to their cart. Melty does say the same thing, and she walks up to Naofumi saying that they need to talk. They do talk. This time it goes a little nicer, per se, but it still goes as canon. He shoos her off because she's the daughter of that trashy king. She pouts, but Naofumi says that Naofumi doesn't say that she can't go play with her. He says you can, but if she has to talk to me, she's not allowed to. Because I still don't trust her, because she's still the daughter of that trashy king. She says, okay, and she goes off, and Raftalia asks him why he did that, and he just sits there quietly. And then she says, is it because she's the daughter of the king? And he says, I will never trust anyone in their blood royalty, ever. Even if they're nice, I will never trust them. This world is turned on me, so I'm never going to trust it ever again. And As they say that, the knight comes in. Naofumi gives him the whole speech about 150 silvers. And they go out and do it, as Naofumi decides to travel around a little bit as they do so. They encounter the village that was destroyed by the Bow Heroes party as they killed the king. They give them the same details as after they're done helping, they go back to the restaurant. This time when they're in the restaurant, he doesn't spit the water on Philo. Instead, Ren and Itsuki notice Naofumi as they're talking and looking at each other. They just see him out of the corner of their eyes as they decide to make their way over to him and accuse him of stealing their prizes, as Ravtalia didn't get the curse, but she still has the, like, a little bit of scars and stuff on her arms and a little bit on her face from the dragon attack. So Ren would say he's sorry, like in canon, and Itsuki gets a little more furious, aiming his bow at Naofumi, about to fire it, when all you hear is a boost about 5 times from the boosted gear. And he gets the red ball right in front of him, about to punch it, as he also puts his shield up in front of him to protect himself from the arrow. As Ravtalia says stop, as Naofumi's about to punch it, he stops right seconds before it, and he just puts his hand down as the ball disappears. Naofumi saying, "Let's go, guys," as he just walks out, as this time he already caught up to the suspicions of the Pope, so he tosses Ren the little chain, as he says, "If you trust me, Ren, you'll look into this for me," as he tosses a little keychain over, and actually no, scratch that, he just walks out. The next day, after they stay the night in the room in the hotel, he gets his gear, as the soldier comes back with the money, as Naofumi says, "Let's get you guys some gear and get ready for that wave that's happening in about," as he pulls open the screen and it shows a countdown for about 3 days. Naofumi says, "Alright, we got 3 days to get you guys some new gear. Let's go." And that's where I'm going to stop it. The next part, there's going to be the second wave where he fights Glass. He also gets the dragon egg, like someone asked me to in the last part. And he masters the scale mail armor. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment and like if you want. I don't really care. I'm just thankful you guys gave me 20 subscribers. I'm really happy about that. So, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.